Today, I'm going to be giving you 5 tips that will help you quilt more efficiently, but also discuss whether or not efficiency should even be your goal. Welcome to Epida Studio. My name is Elizabeth, and I help you make beautiful things with quilting, pujagi, and embroidery. So in quilting, there are a lot of little tricks and things that you can do to help you quilt more efficiently. And when I say quilt efficiently, I mean make more quilts in less time. And often this is an easier way to make things. A lot of these tips are based on principles that were developed in workplace and in industry to be able to make things more efficient in workplaces like factories. So just as a side note, quilting efficiently might not even be your goal. So after I shared these 5 tips, I'm going to also discuss the problems with the tips and whether or not efficiency should be your goal. But if you want some ideas for making quilts more quickly and easily, then these 5 tips will help you out. The first tip I have is to use the right tools. A right tool can make a big difference in how easily you can do something. So if you've been quilting for a long time, you might remember when the rotary cutter was introduced. The rotary cutter revolutionized quilting efficiency. Suddenly, you could cut hundreds of pieces in an hour, and it changed the way people make quilts. Techniques like strip piecing came into being, and it also launched a whole side industry of specialty acrylic rulers. And so that's a big example of how a tool can help you quilt more efficiently. But even beyond the actual rotary cutter, there are other things that can help. For example, if you have a large cutting mat and a long ruler, you can cut things more easily than if you have a small cutting mat and a small ruler. If you want to cut special shapes like diamonds and triangles, specialty rulers will help you with that. If you want to quilt fabric even faster, then getting a special die cutter like an AccuQuilt or something like that will help you to be able to cut thousands of pieces in an hour. So there are always new tools coming in that will help you be able to cut fabric easily and more accurately. But even beyond cutting fabric, there are other tools that can help you in the quilting process. For example, large pressing surfaces, cordless irons, thread snips, basting spray, grippy quilting gloves. Those are all things that will help your quilting to be able to be done more quickly and more easily. So if you are struggling with a specific part of quilting and you're having a hard time, then ask at a local quilt shop because there might be a tool that can help you with that step of quilting. If you have the problem, probably somebody else has, and there might be something that's been developed to help with that. So the second tip for quilting efficiency is to use pre-cut fabric. So pre-cuts are bundles of fabric that have already been cut to a specific size. And this obviously saves time because it skips the cutting process altogether or drastically reduces it. Buying a pre-cut bundle is a great way to get one of every fabric in a collection without having to buy fat quarters or yards of that. Obviously, buying pre-cuts can help you save time because you don't have to do as much cutting. But even the idea of pre-cuts can help you quilt more efficiently. So as you're making your quilt and you have all your leftover pieces of fabric, you can cut those scraps into specific sizes so that you can use those in later projects. And that will help your next project go faster. The sizes you want to cut will be based on the quilt patterns that you make. For example, many people cut all their scraps into 2.5-inch strips or 4.5-inch strips. And if you search scrap fabric systems online, you can find a lot of examples. I have a link to the system that I use below, but it is obviously not the only one. So cutting and sorting your scraps by size is a way of having your own pre-cuts that will save time on projects. The third way to quilt more efficiently is batch processing. The idea of batch processing comes right from factories in industrial efficiency studies. So usually to make 2 of something does not take twice as long as making 1 of something. And making 3 of something hardly ever takes 3 times as long as making 1. So for example, if you wanted to make 3 identical quilt blocks and each one has 3 steps, cut, stitch, press, then you could do them one at a time. Cut, stitch, press, cut, stitch, press, cut, stitch, press. Or you could batch process by doing them all together. Cut, 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 stitch, 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 press, press, press. The second choice is probably going to be faster. Also, if you are limited in space, it can be really helpful to do only 1 step at a time. So one day you can get out your cutting mat and cut all your pieces, and then the next day you can get out your sewing machine and stitch them together. That's easier than having to get everything out just so that you can work on your project. So anytime you can work on more than 1 piece at a time, you're gonna be quilting more efficiently. The 4th tip for efficiency is kind of related to the last one, but that is chain piecing. It's a specific example of batch processing. But chain piecing is when you're stitching a piece, and so you stitch it in the sewing machine, and when you get to the end of that piece, you don't stop, take it out of the sewing machine and cut the thread, but you put your next piece in and then you stitch right on to the next piece, and you keep going all the way until you've stitched all your pieces, and you end up with this big chain with all these pieces stuck together. That is a great way to stitch more efficiently. It saves time because you're not going through taking it out of the machine, cutting your thread, raising and lowering your presser foot. It saves all that time. And it also saves time because it eliminates the chance of having your fabric get caught down in your feed dogs or knotting up on the back of your piece. So it does make that more easy as well. Now, some people like to use little scraps of fabric that they will use at the end of each chain. So they'll have this in the machine and they'll use that to stitch on and then stitch all their pieces, and then they'll cut this and bring it back and put that in the machine. And you can see this one's been used a lot. It has lots of little threads on it. And this has a lot of different nicknames for it. Some people call it a leader and ender, or a quilt spider, or a thread bunny. I've heard a lot of names. I'm sure you might have heard a different name that I am not familiar with. But this is common, but some people even take this idea to the next level. They'll have a little box of pre-cut pieces, squares, or whatever they are. So instead of using this, they will join those 2 pieces and then stitch the rest of their pieces for their quilt, and then end with another 2 pieces. And this is a way that you can actually be making another quilt in between all your pieces that you're joining. And it's amazing how quickly those things will come together. So I actually have this whole quilt top that's complete, and you can see my other video if you want to see details about this. But this whole quilt top was put together in that way. I started making these little 4 patches, and then I gradually expanded into those 4 patches, and I gradually made bigger and bigger blocks. And these were blocks that were all made as leaders and enders in between my other piecing. So this quilt, until I got to actually assembling the 20 finished blocks that were in it, I didn't actually focus any time just on this. It was just done with my other projects. And so that is another great way of quilting efficiently, because you're not even focusing time on it. It's using all your odds and ends of time in between, and also your little pieces of thread that normally would have been cut and tossed into your waste. So chain piecing and leaders and enders is a great tip for efficiency. The 5th tip is to minimize movement. And this is another idea that came from factories and industry. because every extra movement that you make takes time. So if every time you stitch something, you have to walk across the room to go press it, that isn't an efficient way to quilt. If you can have a pressing surface right by your sewing machine, you can eliminate that movement. So you can find a lot of articles online with ideas for how to organize your space for efficiency. So those 5 tips will help you to be able to make more things in less time. But as you might have already thought of, there are some problems for those tips. So I don't want you to think that that is how you must be quilting and that is the correct way to quilt. I want you to evaluate what you want to use and how you can use it, because each of those tips does have a negative side. For example, with tools, every tool you buy costs money. So many people make their living by creating and selling quilting tools. And this is great because it's led to a lot of innovation. But as a quilter, you don't have to buy every single tool that you see. For example, with quilting rulers, even with a regular rectangular ruler, you can cut triangles and diamonds. That's what all these diagonal lines are on here for. Now, if you get a triangle ruler, is that going to be easier? Probably. Is it going to be faster and more accurate? Probably. But you need to think about how many triangles you're actually going to cut and whether or not it is worth the investment for the ruler. I personally don't think you need a brand new ruler for every project. But if you love rulers and you can afford it, then go ahead and get the ruler. Just think about your situation and what applies to you. Before purchasing a new tool, consider how often you will use it, if you have something else that will do the job, if you have room to store it, and if it's a good use of your money. Obviously, I love quilting tools and I've bought a lot over the years, so I'm not saying don't get anything, but think about things before you get it. Investing in a few good tools that you will use over and over is better than just buying everything that you see and then losing them in your sewing room because you have so many things and then you can never find it to use it. There will always be some bright new shiny object, so be a little bit picky about what you buy. Also, no matter how great a tool is, if you don't have the money for it, don't get it. Check out Quilt Guild sales, estate sales, or online groups for used objects, and keep your fingers crossed that you might get lucky. Now, my second tip was about pre-cuts. Now, obviously, purchasing packaged pre-cuts can be expensive, but what's the problem with cutting and organizing your scraps? For some people, there is no problem, and that is a great way to get a head start on future projects. But if you don't really like scrappy quilts, or you cut things into a size that you won't use, then that organization is just a waste of your time. If having bins of organized fabric scraps is just going to add to your stress and be something else that is on your list of chores that you have to do before you can get to the quilt project that you really want to make, then it isn't beneficial, even if it is efficient. So if you don't want to use your scraps, then don't feel obligated to save them. There are many quilters who love to use scraps, who would love to take them off your hands and keep them out of the landfill. Batch processing and chain piecing are both methods that will save you a lot of time in sewing. But the big potential problem in that is that errors will be magnified. If you cut one strip 3 inches instead of 3.5 inches, you can probably recover. But if you cut 10 strips 3 inches instead of 3.5 inches, you probably have run out of fabric and you'll need to get more to be able to fix it. Also, if you cut out the fabric for a whole quilt, then you're committed, even if you find that you don't really like that fabric combination. So doing a little test piece or a sample block or something like that can really save you a lot of trouble in the long run, even if it does take longer to do. It's kind of like knitting a test swatch to get the right gauge. It might seem like a waste of time, but sometimes if you skip it, you'll regret it. And then the last tip I had about minimizing movement, that can actually cause the most dangerous problems. This is something also that was discovered in industry and factories. Having people doing the same repetitive tasks over and over again made things more efficient, but it also developed a whole range of work-related injuries. So when you're setting up your sewing space, keep that in mind. Having your iron across the room from your sewing machine might make things take longer, but having to stand up and walk over to it will be better for your health. So be sure to balance efficiency with your other priorities that you have. So my last point is that efficiency in quilting does not even have to be your goal if you don't want it to be. If you are manufacturing items and then selling them so that you can afford rent and groceries, then you do need to be efficient. Making more things in less time is very helpful for you. But if this is just a hobby and you are enjoying being creative and making something, then you don't need to worry about how fast you can keep pumping out finished quilts. Your hobbies should help you feel better and not worse. And you don't need to create your own mini sweatshop. If we compare this to fishing, we can see the clear distinction. So commercial fishermen need to catch a certain number of fish in a certain amount of time to be able to pay their bills. But your average person out fishing can just enjoy being by the water for a few hours and maybe catch enough for a few meals. Even hobby fishermen that do spend a lot of time and money on equipment and travel, they don't have a quota for how much they must be able to catch to justify their spending. So quilting shouldn't be a race or a competition. Now I know I've been there. Sometimes you do want to do things in a hurry. Sometimes the baby shower is on Saturday and you're not done the quilt yet, so you do need to hustle. But in general, it is not a race. Your worth as a person is not determined by how many quilts you can make in a year. If you love hand piecing and hand quilting and you only make one quilt every 5 years, then that is wonderful. There's no need to even think about these tips for efficiency. That's the beauty of the quilting world, is that you can find what appeals to you and fits your personality, and you can do that. So let me know if you use any of these tips for efficiency, or if efficiency even matters to you at all. Drop a comment, I would love to hear it. And for more quilting tips, patterns, and tutorials, you can check out my website, epidastudio.com.